Fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or a former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 speeches from either the traditional or pathways programs. Or you have a choice. You must have substantial relevant presentation experience that you demonstrate in 3 to 5 minutes speech delivered during one of our meetings. All requests for membership are subject to board approval. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and role if you have one. Right-click and select Rename to do so. We have members and often guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, other professional organizations, we ask that you please be aware of language and word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording this meeting. Your video audio contributions may be used for our club marketing purposes. Please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Also, please avoid using the chat room during the speaker's presentations. And I'm quite excited because the theme of the evening today, Things I Miss. Please welcome our presiding officer of the evening, VPM Lou Brown.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sergeant at Arms. As Andriy mentioned, I am Louis Brown. I am the presiding officer and vice president of membership. And as such, for our guests, one more time to repeat, please put a G in front of your name or the word guest just so that we are able to easily identify you. If you right click on your video panel, select rename, that's the quickest way to do it. Okay, this is our next to last meeting. Only one more after this before 2020 is wrapped up, and then we'll be heading into the new year. Please welcome our Toastmaster for this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you may be, who will share with us all things that I miss as the theme of the meeting. Please welcome Toastmaster Sarraldehen.
Thank you, Lou, and good evening and good morning or afternoon to everybody here today. I was reading an article in the Economist magazine, and it was talking about Warren Harding, who was the president in the 1920 times. And it was talking about them coming through the war and the pandemic, the flu pandemic at the time. And it talked about how people, after coming through that, what they really wanted to do was live. They wanted to just kind of live with abandon and get all they could out of life. And that made me be kind of reminiscent of the times we're going through right now. We've been locked up several months, and a lot of the things that we probably took for granted about doing, now all of a sudden we can't do. And that makes us miss some things. And that brought me to our theme for tonight was things I miss. And what I know is that in order to miss something, something has to change in order for you to identify it as something missed. And what I miss most of all is my family. Since 2010, my grandkids would come to stay with me every July. Their parents would drop them off. And for the whole month of July, we would just have fun and doing things together. And this was the first year that we didn't get a chance to do that. And also what I miss, which I have to say, is I miss the in-person Toastmaster meetings. I miss the handshakes. I miss the eye contact. And because I'm a newbie with the technology, I miss being able to stand and give speeches. I think I'll still have to work on that. And being a part of this club, I believe that I will get that down, because I see so many of you doing that so well. So that's something I do look forward to. So as we go through this meeting tonight, we can just think about things that we missed, and we know that we missed them because something has changed. And what they said in the Economist magazine, it said that 2020 will be the moment that changed everything. And so we can think of all of the things that have changed, and then we can think about all the ways we're going to be growing, because I have grown this year, because now I'm doing Zoom meetings. I had never done that before March of this year, and coming to online presenters help me learn to do that. And there's so many other things that we are learning to do and grasping. When I mention my grandkids, now we're doing Zoom meetings once a month, the first Saturday in every month. We Zoom and we talk together and catch up on things. So, but I also want to mention that, you know, when we're missing things, we also want to be open-minded and open for new opportunities and new experiences. Now, our theme tonight, as we mentioned, is things I missed, and our word of the day is amity. And we will have a grammarian later on who will come on and give us the meaning of that. Help me throughout this meeting, we have a team of role players who are adding value and contributing to the success of tonight's meeting. And so if I may, I will just go ahead and introduce them. First up would be Timer, Lieceng Zhu. If she would let us know what she will be doing and in her role in tonight's meeting. Help me welcome Lieceng.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, my role as a timer is make sure everybody speak within their allotted time and make sure the meeting runs on time. Today, we are going to have 3 prepared speech. There will be all 5 to 7 minutes. So for 5 minutes, it's going to be like this, green, and then 6 minutes, yellow, and 7 minutes, red. When you see red color, you only have 30 seconds to wrap up. And also for our evaluators, you will have 2 to 3 minutes. And for our table topic speakers, you have 1 to 2 minutes. And the same thing, and if it's green, you hit the target, you hit the qualifying time, and the yellow, you hit the target time. And the red, you used out all your allotted time, and you only have 30 seconds to wrap up. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lieceng. At this time, we're going to call Carol Prahinski, and Carol is our counter for tonight. Please help me welcome Carol.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I am absolutely thrilled to be able to count the filler words that each of us uses in today's presentations or comments. I do this so that we can learn what our filler words of choice are and that we can start to hear it in ourselves. So this is very selfish of me, as I'm going to learn to practice again so that I can hear it when I give my filler words. So, back to you.
Thank you, thank you. Next is Andriy Smolenko. Please welcome Andriy. He's our grammarian for this evening. Andriy.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. With my surname Smolenko, I'm a grammarian of this evening. So watch out for what I'm going to do today. Today, I'm going first introduce the words of the day. And second, I will be looking out for particularly good usage of English language. And then I report with those exemplary usage at the end of the meeting. As Madam Toastmaster mentioned before, the word of the evening is amity. Amity is the noun, meaning friendship, kindness, concord, camaraderie, and cordiality. An example of the word amity is Felix held out his hand in amity, which the other took. So I will be counting how many times we use that word, and let's get back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Grammarian. Next, we'll have our watcher, Marianne Grady. Please help me welcome Marianne.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Tonight, I have my eyes on you. I will be looking for how you're framed, how you're behaving while people are speaking, just to make sure that we are all doing the right thing in the right place at the right time. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. Next is our chat monitor. And the chat monitor is Graham Pans. Please help me welcome Graham.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sarah. My job is to well, monitor the chat. But one of the things that this club does particularly well is the chat monitor also keeps an eye on the chat to make sure that the Toastmaster is aware of things that they need to deal with. So if the Toastmaster doesn't spot something in the chat, it's my job to draw it to their attention. But if you've got something that you think you want to contribute, please do so. But as Andriy says, please don't do it during the presentations of speeches, because that's just a bit rude.
Thank you, Graham. And our last helper for tonight is our vote counter, Ginette. Please help me welcome Ginette.
Yes, thank you, Madam Toastmasters. I'm in total amity with all of you tonight. And my role tonight is to vote, to count all the votes in the chat. And then there's no requirements for anyone to vote. Anybody can vote. And at the end, I will give you my report. So back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, and thank you to all of our team that is going to helping out into meeting tonight. Our meeting is threefold. First part is going to be prepared speeches, and then we'll have table topics, and we'll have evaluations. The purpose of the speech segment is to facilitate anyone who is working on a particular project to have an opportunity to present, and then they have evaluation that helps them get better and better as they go along. Our first speaker tonight is Brian David Crawford. And his evaluator is Krishn. Please help me with some Krishn, and he will tell us the objectives of David's speech. Krishn.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So Brian, or BDC as we know him, is going to be presenting a speech on any topic and apply the feedback for the next speech. He's speaking from the path leadership development, and he's working on mastering fundamentals, evaluation and feedback project. And for the benefit of everyone, the title of his speech is How to Play Among Us. And for the timer, the timing of his speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Krishn. If you're like BDC, you're always looking for new ways to create socialization in a digital environment. One of the most intriguing ways is multiplayer online games like Among Us. BDC is here to show us what you need to know about Among Us if you want to schedule an Among Us night for your friends or your Toastmasters club. Really excited to hear about how we can learn to play the game Among Us. Please help me welcome BDC.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. I'm sure some of you may have heard the phrase Among Us in relation to a video game, because there's a popular congresswoman who played this game online to raise awareness for the upcoming election. She's done this a couple of times, and she shattered all internet records when it comes to live streaming video game playing. It was quite a big thing. So what is this game Among Us, and how is it something that we all can use instead of meeting at each other's house to further spread coronavirus? Among Us is a video game involving 4 to 10 people playing basically a live interactive version of Clue, where you are forced to walk around a spaceship and determine who is actively being killed. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, I don't really want to play a violent video game, Brian. This isn't for me. This game really isn't violent as you get into, as you will see. In fact, this is more of a game similar to Free Cell in terms of graphics and skill play and all those things that go into it. So what is Among Us and how do we play it? Well, after you've picked your 4 to 10 people and you've created a lobby in which the 4 to 10 of you are together, you then start the game. The game starts off quite simply with this lovely screen telling you all to shh. You will then be divided into 2 camps. Most of you will become crew members, whereas 1 to 3 of you will become imposters. And for the benefit, this is the screen you will see if you're a member of the crewmate. You will see exactly how many of you are imposters. At that point, it will take you to the game. you will see a map like this. This is the map that people are going to be wandering around. You go to various different rooms and you do various different tasks. The goal is to fix the ship so that your ship can land safely and you don't have to worry about being killed on a spaceship by an alien creature. As you go throughout these tasks, again, this is the type of thing that people get worried about. I assure you it's not as hard as you do. You go one of the rooms, as you can see, all the rooms here with the exclamation marks are the rooms that you want to go to. You go to the room and you'll see a lever, a button, something that's highlighted in yellow on the wall. You approach it and simply touch the use button on your screen. You'll be then taken to a mini game that's super complex and hard for people to understand, like this one. All you have to do is tap the numbers in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's all you got to do. You do it through all the tasks that you see in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, making sure that you do all those tasks. If everyone, all of the crew members on the team are able to do all of their tasks, they win. It's really as simple as that. Now, this is where the game gets fun. 1 to 3 of you will be an imposter. And again, for you, the game will begin like this. And you'll see this screen to let you know that you are an imposter. If there's multiple imposters, you will then see who the other imposters are so that you don't kill them. You'll wander around the ship, and instead of actually fixing things, you will sabotage things that the other people then have to fix. But most importantly, you will be killing the crew members, because if you kill enough of them, you will win. Now, looking at the screen, you can tell this is not a hard screen to figure out what you're going to do to kill them. Just press the button kill, and they're dead. It really is as simple as that. You kill them, they die, they move on. You move on, walking around the ship, finding more people and killing more people. You rinse, repeat, and you do this over and over and over again until there's been a dead body that's been reported. The game stops. Everyone comes together and everyone talks about who is the imposter? Where were you? What tasks were you doing? Where was the body found? Who did you see in the rooms? What are all the little things, the little clues you can figure out about who is the imposter? It's a game about conversations, about emotions, about feelings, about trying to convince other people you aren't the imposter. And for the crew members, it's all about finding who is the imposter. What is their motivation in life? What clues did they leave behind? Did you see green coming out of electrical and then you found the dead body in electrical? Did you see blue following green a little too much and now green is dead? What are the little things that you can deduce throughout the game? Then you vote. If you vote off the imposter, congratulations, you win. If not, well, you killed someone for the imposter and the dance goes on. Now, the thing that makes this game great, and I think really will help add the social element to it, is you play it online with your friends. That's right. This is me and my friends. We were playing it together. It's a bunch of dads from my town. So we got together. We got our Zoom call on. We talked through it while we're having the conversation. And as you can see, we had a lot of fun accusing each other. At this particular moment, my friend Tim, who's here in the middle, I said he wasn't an imposter because I didn't think he was good enough to be able to do a self-report. Naturally, we all knew he was the one who was the imposter. But that's ultimately what this game is about. It's about figuring out what are people doing. It's a game that I've played with my teammates at work, fellow dads in town, and believe it or not, I've even played it with my grandma. So what am I asking you to do this year when you're trying to figure out what are some things that you can do so that you don't spread coronavirus? Consider playing Among Us. It's available on literally every platform. You can play it on your cell phone or tablet for free. If you don't like playing on any of those type of things, you can buy it on your Nintendo Switch for only $5. You can also play it on your computer for only $5. It's cheap and easy, and every single one of us is capable of playing it. That's all I have, and I really hope that you all stay safe, throughout the happy holidays this year.
Thank you, BDC. Teaching us how we can increase amity with our friends and colleagues through Among Us. Our next speaker is Emily Thompson, and Emily's evaluator is Jim Barber. Please let's welcome Jim to give Emily's objectives.
With pleasure, Madam Toastmaster. As you said, our second speaker this evening is Emily Thompson. Emily is speaking from the Presentation Mastery Path, Level 1. It is her icebreaker, so her timing, Madam Timer, is 4 to 6 minutes. The title of her presentation is Sorting Through Trash to Find Herself. Please help me welcome Emily Thompson.
Emily is an enthusiastic member of Toastmasters. She's starting her 5th Pathways program, which is Presentation Mastery. She is also a professor at Washtenaw Community College, where she teaches environmental science and genetics. In this icebreaker speech, she will describe how sorting trash helped her realize how her past is connected to her present. Let's welcome Emily with Sorting Trash.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, an 11-year-old girl kept a diary and did her homework. She would watch Star Wars, get married, have 3 beautiful children, and grow up to be, well, there's time for that later. Madam Toastmaster, sister and fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, the true start of my story is 18 months ago when my 2 sisters and I were cleaning up our parents' house in order to sell it so we could keep my mother in her retirement home. Perhaps some of you have done this lengthy process. We had many piles of trash and things to donate, and we had piles of things that we brought into our own houses, making our own houses overly crowded. You know what I'm talking about, that extra dining room table that you had to walk around to go do the laundry. But I found a box. It was labeled wonderfully Emily, and that meant that I was supposed to open it. I took the box off and the box lid off, and inside were a pair of white gloves that I had to wear, because I'm actually that old. I had to wear until I was 5. These white gloves I had to wear when I went out. I can hardly believe my mother actually made me wear them. But that was junk, so I threw it out. I found old addresses of my elementary school friends, and they've long moved, so I threw those out. I also found letters from old friends, including boyfriends who are not my husband, and I threw those out. There were a couple of those boyfriends. I also found a couple of diaries and old schoolwork papers that were very interesting from a time when I was in junior high. I was 11 years old when I wrote these. And you know, some of these early writings you keep just in case you become famous. Well, that hasn't happened. If you become famous, those early writings, those early drawings are called juvenilia. If you don't become famous, they're junk. So they were junk, but still I valued looking at them. Now, I know some of you heard that word juvenile in there and thought juvenile delinquent. I just want to clear the air. The reports in 7th grade that I had to go to the principal for sassing the art teacher, those are largely exaggerated. But back to my story. My teal-colored diary had very interesting articles, little snippets that I wrote. I was amazed to see, for example, a story about the environment that I wrote in 1972. It was about the oil crisis, and I was writing that what would happen if we pulled out so much oil that the Earth's crust collapsed? Why, it would cause earthquakes. In fact, this has happened in California, earthquakes caused by fracking. It's interesting that I was In 1972, this was of interest to me, and I am teaching environmental science right now. Another interesting thing was a file that was marked innovative concepts of the future. And when I looked at that, the thing I was concerned with in 1972 was the ability to make test tube babies. This was something that was in the ether. I didn't want a test tube baby though. I was only 11. What I wanted was a test tube centaur. Now just think about this. You have to carry your books to school. You have to walk to school. You have to walk back. Why not do it on a centaur? You could take a ride as well, and you wouldn't have to carry your own books. It's interesting that the first test tube baby was not actually born until 1978. Her name was Louise Brown. But that little girl who was dreaming about test tube centaurs went to school, got a degree in genetics, and I teach genetics at the community college even today. The girl that thought it would be way cool to grow her own centaur, and who also thought we had to be concerned about the environment, is very similar to who I am today. If I were to pull up a mirror and look into it to the past, the girl that I was and the woman that I've become are very similar, although the woman that I am now has many more wrinkles. I recommend that you get in touch with yourself and that you also sort through your past in order to get in touch with your 11-year-old self. You might be surprised at what you find. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Emily. Our next speaker is Angela Heath, and Angela's evaluator is Michael Alexander. Please help me welcome Michael, and he will give Angela's objectives.
Angela gave her first speech about giving her sister flowers, and she did so and surprised her right there. But the project is to take the evaluation from the first speech, and having done right, I am the one who evaluated her first speech, and to include and modify that speech based on the feedback. That is what she will be doing tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Michael. Yes, this is.
You muted yourself, Madam Toastmaster.
All right, thank you. Angela says, yes, I did give my sister flowers during the first speech, much to her surprise. During this second speech, I'm going to include the feedback I received to explain more. Please help me welcome Angela, and the title of her speech is I Gave Her Flowers.
Flowers. Who doesn't love flowers? They're beautiful and they smell so good. You know, in the United States, people wait until people pass away and then they spend hundreds of dollars on flowers. They give them to people who can't see them. They can't smell them. I never understood that. Well, not for me, not anymore. You see, I gave my sister flowers. In that first speech I did, my sister had no idea what I was planning. And so I sent live flowers to her home along with her favorite meal. And then I gave her these virtual flowers. And there was no reason why. I just wanted her to know that I really love her and I really appreciate her. But I want to give you guys the backstory, because I know some of you were thinking, oh, what's the big deal? These are simply photos of flowers. But flowers, oh my gosh, people love flowers. And they tell us so much about the heart of the giver. Many people who receive flowers cry because they're just so excited. And so when I was looking through the internet, trying to find the right virtual flowers for my sister, I just couldn't find them. And I got rid of so many photos. And I know it sounds silly, but you know what? This was an expression of my heart. And to be honest with you guys, the reason I did it is because of the situation that we're facing today. You see that? That's why. I heard a news broadcast where this woman was crying her eyes out. I mean, literally, her face was wet with tears. Her eyes were swollen with grief. And she explained to us how she failed to recognize a really good friend. She failed to tell her how much she loved her. And when I saw that, I thought about my sister. See, I'm the baby girl. I'm like 12 years younger. I was spoiled. Honestly, I was. And so it made me think about my sister. It made me think about how she always thinks of me. She never even compares the fact that I don't think that much of her. It made me think about the fact that she's my biggest cheerleader. She's always there for me. And I said, I've got to give her the right special flowers. And so that's why I went through all of this. You know, I came up with these flowers and I said, oh, these are perfect because I love them. Then I thought to myself, okay, there you go again. There you go again. You're going to give somebody something that you love. And then guess what? I realized I didn't know what flowers my sister loved. I didn't know what her favorite color was because I had been too selfish and I only thought about myself. So maybe you'll understand now why I went through so many different photos when I was trying to find the right virtual flowers. And it was so emotional for me. And some of you probably saw there were actually tears in my eyes as flower after flower. I was like, no, that's not good enough. No, that doesn't communicate what's in my heart toward my sister. It wasn't about the photos. It was about self-examination. It was about me realizing that I had been very self-centered. And that made me sad. And it still does. It made me sad because I couldn't find anything to represent that. There was no paper that could do that. And then I start thinking, okay, you missed the mark. Perhaps you should have filled the whole screen with flowers. You know, and I know that these are paper flowers, but they made me feel like I just wanted to complete it. I just wanted her to know so much how I felt. And you know what was fascinating? I looked into the eyes of many people when I gave that first speech, and I see your eyes now. And just like my eyes are welling up with water, so are yours. Because the truth be told, there's a little bit of me in you, that spoiled little sister. And so I'm here today to recommend to you the person who's always there for you, the person who supports you, the person or the people that have been with you through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Please give them flowers now. Run to the store. If you can't get to the store, call the florist. If you can't call the florist, give them virtual flowers now. Whatever you do, coronavirus has showed me, and I'm sure it's shown you, we have got to show the people we love, and we've got to show them right now. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for that speech, Angela. I'd like to ask the timer, did all the speeches come within time?
Yes, they're all within their time. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. So remember that you can vote for the speech that you like best by going to the chat and giving your suggestion to the vote counter, who is Ginette. Now, for the next part of our meeting, we're going to have table topics. And this is where everybody, including guests, can participate. And our fantastic topics master for this evening is Rosena Duncanson. Thank you so much. Help me welcome Rosena.
Toastmaster of the day. Absolutely right. I am your table topics master for this evening, this morning, this afternoon, Rosena Duncanson. And as she mentioned, this is an exciting part of the program. Impromptu speaking, thinking on your feet, no wrong answer. Your answer is the right answer. For 1 to 2 minutes, you get to respond on a statement, phrase, or question that I might ask you. We're gonna have fun this evening. I was hoping that you all participate. And our first question for this evening. And this one goes, if he's here, David Carr, are you in the room?
I am here.
Awesome stuff. The internet has been a significant part of our lives, our program. What would you miss most if we no longer had the internet?
Oh, wow. I mean, you unplug me from the internet, and I don't know what I would do. I am wired too much. I am sure I am wired too much. You know, in election season, I was checking 538's politics section about 20 times per day to see if the polls had moved just fractionally. I was checking Twitter to see what everybody was saying, and I was retweeting people to try and boost certain opinions and sway public opinion. And I'm not sure that any of it made much of a difference in the end. But so what would I miss if you took away the internet from me? Oh, I would have to think again. You know, in moments between things happening, I would actually have to daydream again. And that probably would be good for me. I probably should unplug myself. Oh, unplug yourself, man. Snap yourself out of it. But it's tough. I mean, the internet has brought a lot of good things into our life. It's obviously brought a lot of craziness into our life. Mm-hmm. It has allowed sort of terrible things to replicate themselves across people's brains. So I would say that we probably all could use to miss the internet a little bit, and to try and jumpstart our brains again and jumpstart our independent thinking and unplug from that mass of opinion, that bubble that surrounds us and steers us in a certain direction that maybe we don't always want to go. Ms. Staple Topics Master.
Thank you so much for that response, David. Lukas Calafell, are you in the room?
I am.
Awesome stuff. Can you please let us know about a memorable event in your life that you missed that you would love to relive again?
Sure. given that we're in the holiday season, and I know being in Miami, Florida, it's hard to imagine that because there's no snow, it's not cold or anything like that. And what we see on TV and in movies paints a different picture. But one thing that I will talk about, an experience that I had, was after the holiday, after Thanksgiving, I stayed up all night with my brother watching him play video games because the next day, around 5 o'clock in the morning, my uncle had picked us up and took us on a road trip from Miami, Florida to North Carolina to their log cabin up in the mountains. And as you can imagine, in November, around that time, it just happened to be snowing. The next day, we had these, I guess you could say, makeshift sleds, which we used to sled down a hill that was right next to the log cabin. That was an amazing time because there was snow all around, so you can kind of throw yourself off and still be fine. We were wearing these heavy jackets, which I think after the entire experience, it was all cut up and punctured because of rocks and gravel and all this stuff. But I was young, so I didn't really care. And it was so much fun. We did this for hours, just going down the hill, taking the sled back up, going down again, throwing snowballs and doing all this stuff in the snow. And it actually happened to be my first time experiencing snow. My first time was walking outside to get some fast food and just having my foot sink into the snow. And that was essentially my first experience. But this experience of going down the hill, that was the most memorable experience, which I hope that I can experience again, because I don't think, regardless of how old you get, sledding is still fun for everybody. Back to you, Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Lucas. Fantastic answer. That sounds like a whole lot of fun. Dr. Tosha, are you in the room?
Yes, I am. I had a feeling you were going to call me.
Dr. Tosha, missing something to drink. Glass half full, glass half empty. Which would you choose? And tell me why.
Always glass half full. I am a person who believes in positivity, a person who believes that you speak what you want and it happens. Because I think positively, I think a lot of the things that I desire come to me. Like right now, I'm expecting my third child, my first child with my new husband. But this child is truly a gift and a blessing to us. We've had a few struggles getting pregnant. I'm 42, I just turned 42 yesterday. So a lot of the doctors were saying, oh, you know, you're over the age for childbirth, and that's probably why you guys are having struggles. And I just saw that as an opportunity for, I'm a person of faith, so I saw this as an opportunity for God to move. And I just remember over the summer experiencing my third miscarriage, trying to get pregnant and feeling helpless and hopeless, but also looking and saying, you know what, there's another opportunity. I still have eggs, so something's gonna happen. And trying to view the situation as a glass half full opportunity. And my doctor called me and said, hey, you know, we haven't seen you in a few weeks. We want to come, you know, check you out to make sure everything's okay with the baby, you know, after the miscarriage. So I said, okay. Went to the doctor and she said, you haven't gotten your period yet. I said, no. She said, you might be pregnant now. No way. There's no way. I just had a miscarriage. There's no way. She said, well, run the test. Did the test, called me back the next day, and lo and behold, I was pregnant. And she thought I was pregnant with twins. That's how pregnant I was. No, there's only one, and it's a little boy. But we were really excited because I initially wanted to give up, but because, again, I'm a positive person filled with faith, I decided we're going to try it again, and we're not going to give up. And as long as I'm producing eggs, I can produce a child. And lo and behold, I am 23 weeks into my pregnancy. Everything's going well. I feel great. I have a hard time breathing sometimes, but overall, I feel well. So that is my glass half full opportunity.
Dr. Tosha, thank you very much. That was a wonderful glass half full moment. I'm so happy for you and your family. Our guests, Ivy and Martin, are you there? Is our guest
Yes.
there?
We're here now.
Awesome. Welcome. This one is for you. Can either one of you tell me who is your favorite relative and why?
Favorite what?
Relative. Your favorite relative, member of your family. Who's the most favorite and why?
You want to go first?
Well, I have a favorite son and a favorite daughter. And I let them know they're my favorites all the time. I think they're super terrific. They're caring people. They are great family people. They do really great things for society. And I'm really feeling good that over time, it took me a long time to get to and understand and appreciate them as much as I, excuse me, as much as I do now, but we just connect really well together. And for me, they're truly my favorites. I can tell you a lot about them, but that'll take up like a whole day. So I'm going to have Ivy now tell you about her favorites.
My favorite relative was my grandma Gussie. She was known to others as Grandma Cookie because she would bake cookies for everyone, not only in the family, everyone in her neighborhood, on the block. I recently had an art class where I drew a picture of Grandma Gussie. She was, I consider her my guardian angel. When I was younger, I played the flute. And my brother forbade me to play the flute at home, and I'd be shipped off to Grandma Gussie's, and she'd be cleaning and baking, and I would practice, and she would point out every missed note I would play. She spoke many languages, had a heart of gold, and lives. It's funny, she died on my birthday, and I feel her soul and spirit lives deep inside me. And we married on her birthday to honor her. So my grandma Gussie Farrer is my most special relative.
Oh, thank you so much. That was beautiful. I'm loving it. Grandma and kids, wonderful, wonderful memories. Lois Margolin, are you in the room?
I am.
Lois Margolin, you are invisible for a day. What does that day look like for you?
Oh my gosh, that day would be very scary because just imagine what you would find out. It could be wonderful things. It could be things that you don't want to know. But I don't like to be invisible. Matter of fact, I bet everybody here likes to be seen. But if I could go into a video game and be invisible, and I am going to try that Among Us because I just downloaded it while David BDC was talking. I'm going, I've heard about this on one of my youth leadership programs because the kids adore this. And I'm thinking, imagine if you were invisible and nobody really knew what you were doing. What would the game look like? Because it would be so different. And that would be an interesting question. But one of the things I want to say about all of these table topics is they are very heartwarming. And Rosena, I appreciate all that you have brought to this particular one. I know I'm not answering the question, but that's okay, because one story after another has really touched me during this time. And it is really interesting to watch how open we all are at this time. And none of us are invisible. All of us want to be seen, and our emotions want to be heard. and our feelings want to be expressed. And starting with David thinking, oh my gosh, I would have to start finding things out on my own and maybe spending more time with the family. And yeah, that's what this time is all about. So we become invisible behind our screens. We actually don't see as much. We can turn our screens off. People don't know where we are, but all of this heartwarming stories, all of them make me feel, don't be invisible. Don't turn off your screen. Stay visible. Let everybody see you, because that's what it's about. Back to you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you so much for that reminder, Lois. Let's not be invisible. And that ends my table topic session. Timer, can you let me know where or whether our persons who participated are on time today and if they're eligible to be voted?
All our table topic speakers qualify.
Fantastic. So please in the chat find the vote counter and put your votes in for your favorite table topics response. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master. Toastmaster of the day, please apology.
Thank you, Rosena. At this time, we're going to ask our general evaluator to come up, Miss Pamela Benjamin, and she's going to lead us into the evaluation part of our meeting tonight. Please help me welcome Pamela.
Good evening, good morning, Toastmasters around the globe. Our first evaluator is Krishn. He will be evaluating Brian Crawford. Krishn?
Madam General Evaluator, ladies and gentlemen, and dear guest, which is the one game that unites everyone, from kids to even a grandma? I think the answer is Among Us. So if you haven't done it already, go check it out online. It's going to be amazing. Well, from my perspective, it is, because as I was listening, just like one table topic speaker, I also downloaded the game and looking forward to playing it. BDC, thank you for sharing your message. You did a few things, well, a lot of things very nicely today. You started off by telling me something I wasn't aware of, and you caught my attention from the get-go. The congresswoman who's supposed to be a leader, playing Among Us, investing time to be among us without investing time to be with me among us. So it's a bit mind-boggling, and it really caught my attention. And as you went along, you had a structured delivery. You, besides the opening, you had a structured main body where you told me what Among Us is. You assured me that it's not violent despite the graphic background. You gave me a nice walkthrough, and you even told me what my character is expected to do at the end. That shows that you know what you're talking about. You're knowledgeable, and thank you for sharing all that information. You also had a good pacing from my perspective. You were not going too fast or too slow. I had enough time to digest all the information and write my notes. And you had something very nice at the end of your speech. You told me what to do. Get on Among Us, stay safe, and stay social. Thank you for doing that. Now, I was so much into your speech that I'd like to share not one, but 3 little things that maybe can tweak it for the next time and really look forward to that next speech. Number 1, you had 5 to 7 minutes and you had a lot of information. The amount of information that you shared from my perspective did not let you weave in that call to action, to stay safe and stay social. If you had done that from the start and start by telling me, are you at the house, at your house all the time? And do you feel alone? Why not go and be among us instead of being with you? Something like that. And really grab my attention even better and connect me to that message. So the amount of information, if you had reduced it, that would have given you enough time to weave in that call to action. The next little item, second item, is the dialogue. You told me that at some point, and that was very interesting. You shared storytelling, your personal experience, what you were doing. But I didn't hear, what did Grandma say to me when I asked her to come and join me on Among Us? That would have been just like, boom. If you told me to buy Among Us from you, I would have done it right now. So the dialogue. And the third one would be the tone, the the tone of delivery. I saw the excitement with your visual expressions, but I didn't hear it. I didn't hear the moments of, hey, am I with my friend on Among Us? Oh, you need to be careful. There's an intruder, those emotions. If you work the emotions in at the right moments, it would have been just amazing for me. Having said that, BDC, the best thing I find is that I don't think you are a Toastmaster. I think you are an affiliate for Among Us, because with your background, the way you were just there at the corner of your screen, and I saw this amazing background, I was hooked. I really was hooked. So BDC, thank you for that. Thank you for having this amazing background. And it was a challenge for you. I know, because you had to pay attention, you had to keep the eye contact, you were using your hand gestures, and you still had that background flowing. It wasn't boring, it was the opposite, entertaining. So work on the tone, work on the amount of information, work on the dialogue, and I think Among Us is going to give you money to share what you just shared with us today. Madam General Evaluator, back to you.
Thank you, Krishn. Our next evaluator is Jim Barber. He is evaluating Emily Thompson. Jim?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. My fellow Toastmasters, our most welcome guests, and especially Toastmaster Emily Thompson. Emily, this was your icebreaker presentation from the presentation mastery path, but you demonstrated with this presentation that you are already a master of presentations. So this was your icebreaker in name only. Let me quickly touch on the things that you did well, because if I went into any depth, it would take far, far too long. Frankly, your smile, you just showed that you were enjoying yourself. If you enjoy yourself, there's a good chance we're going to enjoy listening to you. So that was well done. Your background worked. I liked that so well. Your opening, you made a reference to Star Wars right there. You captured my heart. You continued later on, you made a reference to test tube centaurs. Great. I can't recall anybody ever referencing centaurs before. Good for you. You closed with, you might be surprised at what you'll find. A great, intriguing close. That was so well done. Throughout, you had wonderful eye contact with the camera, not with the audience, but with the camera. That was so well done. I need to tell everybody else, we talked a little bit beforehand, and this was an experiment. You were trying something different. Most presentations, most people right now, as I am, are presenting basically from the shoulders up. You wanted to try something different, and I'm going to try to approximate it here, where you were moving back a ways from the camera so that we could see your hands and you see your gestures. And I'm there, that's closer to how you were. And this worked. It was an experiment. You weren't sure it was going to work. I can tell you it worked great. Your hands were appropriate. Your gestures were appropriate. They were congruent with what you were saying. We could see them very well. It worked so well. I'm definitely going to try this in my next presentation because I really liked the way that it came across. I have one suggestion for you. It's a tiny suggestion, and frankly, it's one that most people are fighting. I'm fighting it right now tonight. There was a little bit of glare on your glasses coming from a spotlight that was reflecting off your eyeglasses. It's just going to take some playing around with it to see if you can eliminate that, because you had such wonderful eye contact with the camera. It was a shame that the reflection worked as a distraction a little bit. But frankly, that's the only suggestion that I have for you. This was a masterful presentation. My evaluation is offered in the spirit of amity. I'll say it a couple more times. Amity, amity, amity. I get the award. This was a great presentation. Look forward to your next one, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Jim. Our next evaluator is Dr. Michael Alexander. He is evaluating Angela Heath.
Thank you very much. Angela, you did this right from the start. The proper way to do this project is to have the same person evaluate you the second time as evaluated you the first time, so we can really see what job you did. incorporating the evaluation from the first time. And I gotta say, I'm very proud of both of us. I'm proud of you for using the evaluations I gave you, and I'm proud of the improvement that resulted from it. Excellent, excellent job. As I say, kudos to both of us. You couldn't quite do the same speech this time because your sister wasn't here to be surprised, but that didn't matter because you changed your speech just enough that you had that same genius and spark about generosity and appreciation. And the wonderful bit you said about these shouldn't be the flowers I love, they should be what she loved, which made it a message for all of us. So this was both a wonderful follow-up, a wonderful second giving of the speech, and a wonderful standalone speech. It worked magnificently. I talked originally about the fact that you spent too much time on the flowers themselves. You didn't do that this time. You spent more the message of finding and searching deep within you. That was a wonderful step in improvement. Very, very nice. And you gave something which was, well, not just a value of amity, a value of love and a value of appreciation, which I thought was great. Now, you did still look down a little bit too much. Now, you did that a lot more the first time. You're making good progress, so feel good about it. But a little bit more would help. A little bit more work on that would help. I think you used your background appropriately. This time, the images you used, the interaction you had with that background was an interaction. They weren't just flowers thrown at us. They all had a point. Too often virtual backgrounds are there, frankly, because we can, not because we're trying to do something. You were doing something with it, and you're interacting with it, and that made it work a whole lot better than it does for most of us. Kudos on that. You gave a speech at a wonderful, powerful level. That said, I would recommend for your next speech, try some storytelling. Because this first time you had to keep the level high. Now you varied it enough. I'm not going to accuse you of not having variety, but I think a little more variety, and I think perhaps doing a storytelling or whatever next time through would take you even further along. Wonderful. I'm very proud of you and pleased with my own suggestions that look so good. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Michael. May I have a timer's report, please?
With amity, I would like to say that Krishn 40 seconds over the time limit, but Jim Barber and Dr. Michael Alexander, they both qualify. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
So we have two speakers. You can send a vote to our vote counter for either Michael or Jim. Now I'd like to call for reports. Our first report is from our grammarian, Andriy Smolenko.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. As a grammarian, having surname Smolenko may appear to be quite challenging for a few role players for the day. I think I better do it again next time. However, I'm quite excited. We had 3 people today using the word amity. Well, and of course, Jim Barber is the winner. He knew exactly what he was getting himself into. However, thank you for Toastmaster of the Evening for using the word amity, and timer, Lieceng Zhu as well. 1. And now, the exciting bit, the particularly exciting usage of the English language. On the 3rd spot, bronze, going to speaker number 2, Emily Thompson, with her use of phrase, juvenile delinquent. I really like that one. And on the 2nd place, silver, goes to speaker number 3, Angela Heath, with the use of the phrase, a woman was crying her eyes out. Oh, that was really, really vivid. However, the champion for today is Mr. David Carr with his use of the English language. Unplug yourself, man. Unplug yourself, man is the winner. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Our next report is from Graham. Graham, can you give me a chat monitor report?
I can indeed. There's not a great deal that I have to report, although I would draw your attention to the fact, everybody, that you can save the chat yourself by going to the chat. And over on the right-hand side, next to the word file, there are 3 little dots, and one of those is Save Chat. But some of the things that did come up in the chat that I thought were worth noting, somebody's reference to, I think we're all traveling on Smolenko Airlines tonight. And during his introduction, I have to say that, yes, Andriy did sound a little like the purser on a flight. David pointed out that in a professional presentation, we should be prepared to get heckled. So maybe we might consider that. Going forward. There were some tech tips on game playing from Psychoshore on how to get a microsecond jump on players from overseas. I mean, that's a little sneaky. Andriy posted the word of the day multiple times. Congratulations on doing that. That's using the tech the way that it is designed to be used. It reminds us all of what's going on. Oh, and I did love the movie references to The Matrix and Citizen Kane and to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, although that's really more a book than a movie, but you get my point. But as I say, good use of the chat tonight. It wasn't intrusive, but we were all contributing.
Thank you very much. Now to our ah counter. Carol, can you give us an ah report?
Absolutely, thank you. Tonight I have sent via chat specific feedback to our speakers, evaluators, and our timer. I also would like to make note of some feedback to our table topics people. But before I do that, I want to mention that there's one word that we need to keep practicing, and that word is the word you, like you, not you all, not y'all, not we all, and not you guys. It's you. It already is plural. We don't need to add further. Now, table topics people, I'd like you to know, David, you had 6 ahs, 3 ands. Lucas, 4 ands, 3 amazings. Tosha, 1 5 ands. Martin, 3 ahs, 2 ands. Ivy, 3 ands. Lois, 3 ands, and 1 so. And the others I put in chat so you can get it back for you specifically. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. We are running ahead of time, but I'm going to give my report. I thought it was a really wonderful meeting, and I'm having a really hard time finding tips to grow on. One of the things I really appreciated with the speakers is that I felt they all pushed themselves. They all pushed themselves to do different things, whether it was using more technology with BDC or whether it was Emily and the storytelling and the background. I thought she really did well. And then with Angela, I really felt she dug deep and she just really tried to push herself, especially with all the flowers. So I really, really appreciate that. The table topic master, I thought she did an incredible job, including the guest and the members. And I was particularly impressed how she threw David off of his game and got him to think about what would happen if the internet were unplugged. I mean, that was a golden moment, and it was a good advice for all of us to maybe unplug. So I thought the questions were really insightful. She caused all of us to think, and it's been kind of a tearjerker of a night. And I don't know if it's because of the holidays or it was just because the topic is so special. So I can't really think of anything to, but one thing I would suggest is that when we get the agenda, I have a hard time finding the theme of the day till I get into the meeting. So I don't know if I'm missing it or if it's in a different place, but I have a hard time finding the theme till I get into the meeting. I thought our evaluators did a really good job of being very comprehensive. Our award-winning evaluator went a little bit long, but he was very, very, very thorough. So all of our evaluators gave a lot of detail. I tend to think that a lot of Toastmaster evaluations give a tremendous amount of emphasis on gestures and motion and not so much the structure of the speech. I heard a lot of structure comments, which I think is really, really important. You can be an acrobat and win contests, but if you don't have a strong opening, points, and a conclusion, it just starts to fall apart. So I'm really, really big on not only gestures, but structure of a speech, good hooks, big call to action, and very, very thorough. So that's my report for this evening, and I'd like to hand it back over
Just before you finish, Madam General Evaluator, in my role as chat monitor, something that's just come up in the chat, we missed the watchers report from Marianne.
Marianne, watchers report.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Tonight, everyone was pretty well centered, and we are looking like online presenters should, right in the center of our squares. And more than half of you are using virtual backgrounds, and you're looking quite festive. So that was really appealing. I noticed that some of the away messages, when you're not there, instead of just having your name, Lois, Krishn, Nikenji, and Rosena had very nice professional photos too, and I just see Gramps popped up. But I will ask you that when you're doing something that might be distraction, such as taking notes or writing, that you do turn off your screen so it doesn't look like you're not paying attention to the speakers. I also would like to caution you, because we are on camera all the time, we should be aware of our expression, and we should be mindful of touching our ears, bumping our nose, things like that, because I saw a lot of that tonight. So just be careful because people are watching. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. And my dog joined me today because he was crying on the floor and I couldn't talk with him crying. So Merry Christmas. It's his birthday on Christmas Day and he's named after St. Nick. So I guess he had to be part of this party. Thank you very much. I'd like to hand it back over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Need the votes.
Thank you. And I heard someone say we need the vote.
Yes, it's me.
Okay, we need the vote.
Yes, okay. So thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. I saw a wonderful message on the chat and I'm going to use it before I do my vote. The speeches today were awesome. Messages involving thankfulness and youthfulness. All that was from Psyche Shore. And then I will tell you, all of you, to start the drum roll for the best speech. The drum roll for the best speech is Emily Thompson. Thank you, Emily. Great. And for the table topics, drum roll, it's Ivy and Ma. Wonderful, Ivy and Ma. And for the best evaluator, it's Jim Barber. Thank you very much to all of you. And back to you, Mrs. Toastmaster.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Such a fantastic job. All of those who stepped in at the last moment when we had some cancellations, thank you very much for that. And at this time, I will turn it over to our host. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please help me welcome Lou, our host.
Thank you so much, Toastmasters. Sarah, wow, time goes by so fast with our meetings. It's amazing. I know I really enjoyed myself, and based on all of the engaged faces I saw in the crowd, I know you folks did too. We have just about a minute left. After the meeting officially ends, I'd like everyone to hang around, or at least all of you who can, because we'll have some feedback and informal chit chat. I'd love to hear from all of our guests to get your feedback and hear how you felt about the meeting. You know, our meetings are very educational, entertaining, and of course, always filled with amity. And that is one of the things I like very much. Thank you to Toastmaster Sarah, the Topics Master, General Evaluator, speakers, topics, speakers, and our evaluators, of course. Everything went so smoothly. That's one of the things I really love about online presenters as well, is we're always on time. Things run very smoothly. It's just a very professional group. Lois shared with you at the beginning, on the 28th, next week, we have our last meeting of the month. She is the Toastmaster. I'm sure it'll be filled with a lot of fun. If you have not signed up for a role, please do so. I'm sure Lois will get in touch with you if there are any openings. I hear it's going to be filled with a lot of fun and games. So thank you everyone for attending our meeting, especially guests. And again, please hang around. We'd love to hear a little bit of feedback from you after we end the recording, which I would, let me see, I could probably do that myself, can't I? This meeting of online presenters is now officially ended. Bang of the gavel.